This is the BAM School Podcast, where we talk about business adventure and mission with your host, Buddy Rathmel.
All right, I'm here with Roger and Vince Alves. Roger founded Scosche 41 years ago along with his wife. They started off as consultants for audio sound and grew a business out of their garage. Typical story of the garage entrepreneur. Now have 230 employees, employing people multinational around the world, and now it's a 3-generation company. And I'm just going to read quickly from their website. Scosche was born from and runs our passion for cool vehicles, amazing sounds, the great outdoors, travel, motorsports, horsepower, and voltage. We're a company of gearheads, drivers, surfers, racers, riders, tech buffs, tech users, innovators, and relentless pursuers of perfection. We never get stuck in the past or in the mud. So, Roger and Vince, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So, Roger, tell us a little bit about how you started Scosche.
Well, I had been involved with the company prior to Scosche in creating parts to install car stereos, but unfortunately, I had some less scrupulous partners. So we decided rather than fight them in court, we would go on and make a new company. With the encouragement of some friends, February 22nd, 1980, we opened our doors, announced that we were in business, and began Scosche Industries. So I had a good following of accounts and customers that would pursue what we could offer them in consulting. And you remember in 1980, there was not known, car audio was not known like it is today. The manufacturers in Japan did not know one thing about whether their products would fit in a car that was manufactured in 1979. I would get a sample product in my hand, and they'd say, go out and see if this fits the American cars. So with that, I knew that there was a demand there. We created a database, started measuring all the cars, wrote an encyclopedia of auto sound, and at the same time, we were fortunate enough that the whole GM changed all their vehicles, and they made it a larger size stereo that was very consistent from one car to the other. So we patented a product that would fit 24 different vehicles.
Nice.
And that was our initial go-to-market product.
Yeah.
So he would sell this book that had been known as the Installer's Bible, coincidentally. And every year, make, and model, these professional installers would refer to this book on how to disassemble, what size speakers, and how this kit will fit this brand new radio into an American vehicle. So this was back in the day when the first thing you did was put a new stereo in when you got a car. You know, that's the first thing these kids would do. So it was a huge problem solver for the market.
And were you the only seller of the pieces that would fit, or did you, since you had the patent, did people license it?
There was one other company that was making individual plates of steel in Brooklyn, New York, and they had been started like in the Motorola days. That was our competitor. But up until then, with our product, which was so unique, is that it was injection molded and had multiple tabs for installing multiple vehicles. And so we made a series of those. Those later became kits for do-it-yourselfer, which went into Radio Shack, which went into Craco, which then became the Walmart set. We went into Walmart in 1994, and we're still in Walmart to this day.
Cool. Well, back up a little bit. I heard Vince tell me the story of how you came up with the name, but tell our listeners the story of how you came up with the name.
Yeah, so my wife and I were in Santa Barbara getting ready to start this company. We went up for the weekend, which is about a vacation for us at the time. And we're thinking of names. So my wife's name is Scosche. I call her Scosche. And that sounded a lot better to me than Alvco.
I agree.
I just couldn't get the spelling on the back end of that. So we're coming home down the coast, and there's a Porsche 928 in front of us. And I said, that's it. Scosche.
There you go. That's cool.
There's
so
the name.
You got the premium wife and the premium vehicle, and you made your premium company name out of it.
That's it. Yeah. Great. Well said.
Well said.
So we talked before we got on the air about some of the challenges that you faced, but what are some of the challenges you faced in the early years of growing the company?
Well, there are always challenges, and I wanted to really stress with your audience out there is that, you speak about life balance. The life balance that we had for many, many years was being able to see the kids play soccer.
Yeah.
But some of the real struggles we had with the company starting up is making payroll.
Yeah.
I can remember a time when we had to get a float from the bank to make the payroll. My wife was always stressing payroll. We would go away for a weekend and she'd be doing the books and I'd be trying to find something to do down at the beach. One of the other things was how do you raise money for tooling to make those injection molds? Well, as it happened, I had an association with a man named Klaus. Klaus had an injection molding company, and we protected him from the last group of partners I had who were not going to honor their debt to him. So I was able to see that in a chapter settlement of the creditors that he received all his monies due. So we became very good friends, and he offered to put up tooling for us and amortize the tooling rather than ask for payment. So up until recent years, we would tool a kit or a part, and then we would pay 35 cents amortization until that tooling was paid off.
Yeah.
And that was a part of the struggle starting, is how do you get maximized resources to produce maximum product? Yeah. So you want to leverage yourself as much as you can to grow fast.
Yeah.
But I love the part about you taking care of him, and then he became the bank for you when you had no one to go to.
Exactly.
And that business partnership lasted decades.
This building we're in, he initiated the build. He financed the thing, and we bought, and we took a third of it. Because he was such a generous man, for virtually nothing down.
Wow.
And that's years later. That was 1997. So you went from 80 to 97. Another big struggle in the early days was we could not get financing. So we researched 18 to 20 banks.
Wow.
And all said no, but one. And we were able to get an SBA loan. Now, the CFO I had at the time, her and her husband happened to be investors in this bank, I guess. And as it turns out that we ended up with that bank, a local bank in town, they put together an SBA for us. And to this day, she won't take credit for having anything to do with that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, in recent years, you can't speak of tough times without speaking of the corona.
Yeah.
So there's always something.
Well, and talk with us for a minute about, I know you guys do some manufacturing overseas, and then the Trump tariffs hit. Talk with me of how I had a couple of friends who had businesses that were just slaughtered by the Trump tariffs. How did you guys get through that even before Corona?
Well, about in 18, the tariffs came July of 18. I frankly didn't believe that it was going to happen without some kind of notice, without some kind of
heads
up, so we could possibly work our way around it. But they hit in July. We happened to be in the middle of a sale of the company at that time, and it killed it.
Wow. So you were looking to exit in 18.
Yep.
And were you going to stay on for a while, Vince, for the transition, and then
a
couple years?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't want the company legacy to we weren't going to just flip and get out and go to Hawaii. My brother and I were going to stay on, run the company, and obviously let him go to Hawaii, but he'd still be involved. Don't kid yourself. He doesn't know anything else. This is who he is. So he still loves getting in here and stirring the pot. So, but the tariffs came fast and furious, and it blew up that deal. And we rolled up our sleeves. We all got on planes, and we took our best people, and we went and just turned over stones in Vietnam and Philippines. We looked back here in the U.S., and to our team's credit, I think we mobilized faster than any one of our competitors. We had solid plans and partnerships in place, and within a few months, we are projected to have over half our business built in Vietnam and Philippines in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And then this little virus called COVID hits and kind of halted that plan. But, it's a tenacious business. And I think one of the things you're teaching your group is, he speaks of going to a soccer game as his vacation or his free time. And you gotta have grit. And whether it's finding 18 banks for one of them to say yes to you, or dealing with a tariff situation that gave you no warning and no time to prepare, or a worldwide epidemic, and how you're going to figure out how to make money direct to consumer online because Target closed their doors for 3 months. It doesn't matter how you fill in the blank. There's always going to be something there, and you got to have passion, and you got to be able to attack it and strategize and surround yourself with good people to go get it done. And, so far we're still having fun.
Yeah, Vince made a point of surround yourself with good people. Yeah. That's like rule number one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I answered your question, but that was fun.
No, that's great. So what are your guys' day-to-day roles right now? What do the two of you do?
Official roles? Or
what do you really do?
Yeah. Well, he's CEO. My brother and I are co-presidents.
Okay.
But, we really wear a lot of hats. Cass, my brother, oversees marketing, but he's still extremely involved with sales. I oversee the sales team, but still very involved with marketing. Yeah. Roger oversees the car stereo division, of course, everybody, but he still is very involved with the original book of business, which is car audio.
Yeah.
And loves stirring the pot with our engineers and the development team. But, one of the benefits of having this three-headed monster is that we really cross-pollinate and complement each other. And so far it's been effective. Yeah.
It's been great.
What's it like, Roger, working with two of your boys?
It's you asked the question here, what have been some of the high points in running your own business?
Yeah.
Having to see them and work with them every day. I can't tell you how fantastic that is.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's truth to that. Like I think about that, and why do we grind and why do we work so hard, and what's it all for? And you want to pass that legacy on. I don't know if, for me specifically, I want Scosche for my kids' future, but I want something that we have is, you don't hear a lot of those stories very often. And it's special.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And these two guys, they started at the bottom They worked in the warehouse. They made kits. They assembled.
Bagged hardware on our little stamper in the warehouse.
Since,
child labor. That's our only form of child labor we've ever had here.
Yeah.
We'll just say that.
Yeah, and as we grow, this company has really, challenged us, and we have to raise ourselves up and learn and read books and get counsel and consultants and figure out how to make it work because it's moving fast.
Yeah.
Well, and the look at the industry. When was the last time you knew someone that installed a car stereo when they got a vehicle? Those are, how do we reinvent ourselves? And that's just, it's tenacious,
Yeah. And so, Vince, I know you were actually the first one to create that magnetic mount, right? Like you're the worldwide first on that. So
I love it. Yeah.
Is that a big part of what you do is create new products, or how does that come about?
Yeah, so we have a product development team, but product ideas a lot of times will come from us, where we're tenaciously looking at competition. My brother's an avid surfer. We all ride dirt bikes and mountain bikes. We're in California, guys, so we're outside, but our heart and our core is car.
Yeah.
So whether you're a truck guy or a car guy, we're always looking at what is the new phone like, what's the new GoPro like, how do we use it, what's missing in the market, or how can we have a better customer experience, whatever your lifestyle is, with an accessory that can come from Scosche. So we're just wired to just think like, what could be better about this situation, or why did Apple remove the headphone jack, and what can we make that will solve that problem for someone who didn't like that move?
Yeah.
And for us, we did mounts for back when GPS was hot, and there was a $500 Garmin GPS unit. And so we made these window mounts and vent mounts that had, grips on them and would hold your $500 GPS unit. But it was never something that my wife would put in her car. It was clunky, it was big, and they bounced and they blocked your view. And we sold hundreds of thousands of them for many years, but it just was something that was like, it needed to be fixed. There needed to be something that was sleeker and better. And we're just always searching in the market, listening to outside perspectives on how we can be different. And that was just something, Apple just came out with magnetic keyboard or iPad covers.
Yeah.
And it was really cool, and it was just seamless and just gave you that click feel, and it felt very high end. And it was just bothering me that we couldn't apply that to something that we made, and so it challenged our team. And then one day it clicked, and we just went full. We put all our resources. That was at the same time we decided to get out of the case business, because we were making some of the coolest iPhone cases, and we'd go to ship them at retail, and nobody bought them from us. Yeah. And we spent all this development cost and tooling, and we'd have advanced information, but we didn't really know 100% about the form factors from Apple. So we would risk build, and we'd bring in 10,000 units to make sure we had cases the day Apple announced their new device, and still people just didn't buy our cases. And we have this whole team spending all this resource and energy developing these really cool cases that it was less than 1% of our business. So once we came up with the Magic Mount family, we took that entire team and dedicated them to doing something that we're better at with a huge ROI upside. Yeah. And it really completely changed the company.
Cool. Yeah.
And it's been, I love hearing stories, pulling up to a stoplight and you look over and my son says, "Hey, Dad, that's a Scosche mount on the dash there," and it's pretty cool. Yeah. Going from someone that we couldn't beg people to buy our cases from us, but now, you drive down the street and you hear personal stories of how much they love that just seamless click of your phone snapping to your window or your dash,
Yeah. Yeah, I told you, I emailed you that my brother-in-law, who works for the Virginia State Police, he has one in his big old, state police truck. And
I love it. Yeah. I love those stories.
I always tell people, I know the guy that invented that.
Company.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Roger?
I say it's the largest segment of our company.
Cool.
The mounts.
Yeah.
And now we're making wireless charging. Also, like Vince observed his wife using the mounts, I observed my wife using wireless charging with the Mophie case.
Yeah.
And I knew that at that time we should really devote more of our resources to wireless charging. And I was totally behind it as soon as I saw how much my wife liked it.
So is that one for the office? Is that charging there, the one that you just stuck up?
No, this one's not charging, but we have them that charge. This one over here is, can you see over here?
No.
No?
I can't, but so that's cool. Like, I'm going to buy one of those. Like, I need one.
We have them that charge just like that.
Yeah, that's what I need right next to so I didn't even know that item existed yet in the world.
There you go.
So this is an iPhone 12, and we have the Mag 4 charge coming. That is the fastest charge to charge iPhone 12.
Cool.
We'll make sure and take care of you, buddy. So you let me know what phone you have. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put a link in the show notes to that product since we talked about it.
Excellent.
Can I go back a little bit and talk about product development on that level?
Yeah.
One of the things that you kind of have a target when you have a company. You have an idea, and a lot of those ideas are outliers that are kind of fantasies or what if this. But if you aim at the target and not at the bullseye, I think you have more success. It's like using bullets instead of cannonballs.
Yeah.
You can grow yourself into it.
Yeah.
So when Apple introduced the iPod, not the iPhone, in 2007, we had some experience with Bluetooth in FM transmitters. And we knew that if we made a cradle in a transmitter, we could send it to a receiver in the car.
Yeah.
So then we made a kit, we put a cradle around the iPod, and we started transmitting with a receiver in the car that plugged into your stereo iPhone wirelessly,
streaming audio
to your car.
Keep in mind, this was when Bluetooth was something that you put in your ear for a hands-free call. Nobody was streaming music at that time, so that was bleeding edge technology. We got it into Best Buy at $199, and it was a complete failure.
Another one.
But we got on Apple's radar, and they said, we like what you guys are doing. And we had a couple industry firsts after that, and it really kind of gave us credibility in that industry that we just kind of built off of. So, yeah, that's a good reference.
And you guys you're in the Apple store now, right, with a lot of your products?
Correct. Yeah, we have a wireless charging mount that automatically grips your phone when it starts charging, which is really cool. Yeah. Apple seems to do well with that. And then a whole modular charging station. You can wirelessly charge. You can put your iPads. It has a multi-device holder and an Apple Watch. And you can expand off it. So if you want 3 wireless charging bases and a vertical station, you can kind of customize your own home station. I don't know if you have kids, but when you get home, there's devices everywhere. You're using them to control your lights and your television. But where does all this stuff go? And they're never charged when you need them. So we invented this modular base link system where you can basically take this piece off and snap on all these different variations depending on what devices you have in your household. Nice. So Apple really like that. Work from home, school from home. It's really kind of a new world. Yeah. And the one thing all these devices need is power because they all do so much now, as you know.
Right.
So
yeah, that's really cool.
That's been a fun project.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that have been your highlights, Vince, in working with your dad or working with the company? What have you enjoyed on that front?
Oh man, just having the freedom I think when people ask me, what's your one recommendation as an entrepreneur, what would you tell somebody? And it's the freedom to fail.
Yeah.
And the one piece of advice he instilled in me was fail your way to success.
Yeah.
But he didn't just tell me that as a kid. We actually backed one of my projects. I got really excited when Apple first started launching accessories. This was before, people were just starting to learn what an app was, but there was no hardware that worked with software at the time. This was all brand new. And Apple said, this is the future. We're going to make all the retailers dedicate space to having a piece of hardware like a drone work with an app that's on your phone. And our minds were blown. We said, we need to be in this. And we started looking at, there was a radiation leak in Japan. And we're like, well, we can do a sensor that comes with an app, and let's go do that. And hundreds of thousands of dollars, we got excited and invested in this. And that was a project that I really was passionate about, was leading. And it was a total failure and a waste of a lot of resources. Oh, no, are you getting it? So this is,
I had a sample.
So
nice.
we called it the RDTX radiation detection for iPod and iPhone.
Yeah.
Really nice packaging. Never want to see that again.
It had a great app that located where the radiation points were.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful part.
That was a lesson, and we're really good at the hardware, but
Yeah.
we really didn't know what we were doing on the software side, and it was a very good education, but our resources could have been better spent in working on areas that we're really good at.
Yeah.
And that was an expensive lesson for me. So, but the freedom to fail, dust off your boots, get back out there, and then, a year later come out with the Magic Mount is, I never would have invented the Magic Mount if I was stewing over that failure. Right. Or if I didn't have the freedom to fail with that radiation accessory.
Yeah.
And so just the process of being able to create something and have it fail and then get back out there and start again and then have it be successful and then change the product throughout the development process and then go sell it to our customers and then pull up to a stoplight and have my son tell me that's our mount on somebody's car next to us. It's a long answer, a short question, but that's what I really enjoy is just seeing that come to the market or hearing a story from you that your brother-in-law was bragging about this mount, and it's like, that's cool. I love hearing those stories.
Yeah. So Roger, would you say the radiation detector, was that more of a Cannonball kind of thing, or like even though you gave him the freedom?
Yeah, that was one shot Cannonball rather than baby steps.
Yeah.
But it was a time slice. Sometimes you have to come to market. It was a big risk.
Right.
But, if you have enough gunpowder, you can do it.
Yeah.
If you have the reserve and you manage and you have a good balance sheet, you can invest in those kind of things.
Yeah.
And so we have done that recently. When we're in health and fitness now, we have a heart rate detector. That's the most accurate heart rate detector. So you don't need to wear a chest strap anymore. And we've invested in dash cameras. We have a little dash camera division going on. But you really have to diversify or you die.
Yeah.
But what we learned on the heart rate monitor is we made the hardware work with every fitness app that's already on the market that you already know and love. So if you're a runner, you use Runkeeper. If you're a bike rider, you use Strava. And we didn't pretend that we were an app developer. We just know that we make hardware really good.
Yeah.
So the lessons we learned from previous lessons we learned from that failure was let's just do what we're good at and make sure it works with everything else that's out there. And it's our number one seller online to this day, even though it's technically off-brand for Scosche because it's not in the car, but it's in the health and fitness space. But it's been a huge success. So
it's part of our Bluetooth success.
We kind of innovate our way into different categories, but still try to be core to the brand. And that one seemed to work for whatever reason.
So who gets to drive the BMW around, and who drives the Jeep?
Oh, we do like cars. I got to tell you.
Nowadays they're always touring somewhere, or we have a lot of really fun ambassadors that it looks like we're having a lot more fun than we actually are. That's actually other people having fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Posting on behalf of our social media, which we really appreciate, because if I posted something, I'd get like 10 hits. But when these guys do it, the ROI is definitely there. But after a couple years of showing, we get to play around with the vehicles a little bit, which is always fun.
Yeah, cool.
I drive around a '59 Apache.
Yeah, nobody touches that but him.
Yeah, nice.
That's fun.
Well, what do you guys see as the future? Whether are you going to look to sell after you negotiate the next year or two again? Or
that's a good question. There's companies that come to us every year, 3, 4 a year. Yeah. And we always learn something when we entertain those conversations. But, right now we're just dealing with our bottom line and making sure we're capturing market share. And so far it's been working. So we kind of got distracted through that process, and it wasn't really fun.
Yeah.
So I think right now we're just, enjoying creating jobs for the people that work for us, and we're paying for our lifestyles, and, we're reinvesting our profits back into next year. And so right now we're not really entertaining that. Still licking our wounds a little bit, maybe I'd say, but yeah.
Yeah, it's been a crazy couple of years for everyone, I think. So
for sure.
What are some of the dreams, Roger, as you look to the future? What do you want to invest your life in the next 10 or 15 years?
Well, I'm not going to not invest my life here as an overseer. So I do spend a good amount of time, 3 days a week in the office. I think, are you referring to, other than that, obviously, devoting my time to the family as we do with the grandchildren, and maybe arranging a few more family vacations if we can pry ourselves out of here. So
that's great to be able to have the freedom
where the Lord takes us.
Yeah, to invest in that. How would you guys say your faith has impacted you in leading a business over the years?
Oh, that's great.
Let me take that one.
You can go ahead, and then I'll answer one right behind you.
Yeah, so it permeates throughout how we manage people, whether it's our employees, how we relate to their struggles with work, family, environment, our vendors. One thing that a lot of our competitors do is they'll promise the world to a supplier and negotiate a really good deal for them, but never come through with their promises. And that's a very short-term plan. It's not an honorable plan. So, one thing we were taught is you pay your vendors, and we challenge our suppliers. We're not easy to work for, but we're always fair. And if we say we're going to do something, we pay on time, and we follow up with our promises. Yeah. And then that follows all the way through to our customers. You go to trade shows, and we have 20, 30-year history with some of these large accounts. And they know when we say we're going to do something, we'll honor it. And we'll also take them out to a really nice dinner at a trade show and talk business and talk families. But after that dinner's over, we're going to wish them good night. And if they want to do anything that's questionable, that's, sometimes they'll leave our dinner party and go to our competitor to go to a trade show shenanigans. And they'll know that we don't stand for that. And they never, we've built such a reputation that they would never ask us to do something that would compromise our morals. So that over the years, that reputation, that got out there with our customers, and it gets out there with our vendors. Yeah. They know that, this is a Scosche team. Don't ever offer them anything that's, not kosher or not honorable, and that's just not who we are. And I think in the short term, sometimes we may have lost some deals over it, but in the long term, it's who we are, and we're not going to compromise on that stuff. So whether it's a vendor or a customer, that's, I think it speaks to people, and it's our testimony as ambassadors, whether we don't, we're Christian, but our employees aren't forced to be Christian, but they know when they work here, this is what we represent, and you're part of the team. So
yeah, they know on that subject, they know that they're working for a safe place.
Yeah.
They're working for somebody who has integrity and a testimony. We live the testimony.
And if something happens with their families, they need to take leave of absence. It's still a family environment, and we always want to protect that and support that,
Yeah.
But we also ask a lot of them. We all work really hard, and we try to lead by example. But the important stuff, we really try to make sure that we come across as ambassadors for Christ, whether we say it to them. California, you get sued for saying you could say anything but Jesus.
Yeah.
But we try to live it, and we try to represent as much as we can. So
yeah, our company verse is Colossians 3:23 and 24. Work heartily for the Lord.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think it's really cool, just when you see that come out of a company where, you even when you talked about like way back in the beginning, the company started because of integrity and not wanting to do things not the right way, and to see that maintained over 40 plus years is really cool. And honestly, probably part of the reason you survived all those years, like the integrity, there was probably things that, Roger, if you didn't have integrity over those years, something would have happened, wouldn't have got the bank loan, wouldn't have got, whatever, the vendor you needed, or so that's
exactly.
That's really cool to see that. Just that legacy that you've left in running a business with integrity. That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Vince, what's some of what are you looking forward to see as your legacy? Your dad has a lot of his legacy in his company and his family. What are you looking to leave as a legacy?
Yeah, it's such a big question. Sometimes we're so in the weeds.
Yeah.
But I have 2 teenagers now, and a lot of the same legacy that he left of integrity, hard work, but also life balance. I feel like his generation, it's all about you just work and provide more for the next generation. And then you kind of see this generational slip of lack of hard work, but, or Gen X, I feel like we're kind of in the middle. And so I still want to instill those things in my kids. But I still want life balance for them. But I would love just being in their lives and still having fun with them and seeing where they go, wherever their passions are. Yeah. And then also, I have a passion for mission, right? I started out before a career on mission in Portugal. Now we support different missionaries, and I still have a heart for that. But eventually I'd love to travel with my family and do special trips to continue that desire to just get on board with other people doing great things and support them and go experience different cultures and see where the need is. And, but bringing my kids along with me to go do that and just get that outside world perspective, do something good, but still wrap that into your life and follow their passions. And, you kind of have to do that by example. So, finding the time to free that up and go on a trip once a year, once every 2 years to kind of activate that mindset. That's just thinking out loud, that's kind of something I'd love to do more of long term.
Like Thailand and Kenya.
Thailand, that was, still to this day, that was one of my kids' favorite trips, Yeah. And I recently took a trip with my daughter to Kenya, very similar, some education, some mission, some play.
Yeah.
But, and then come back to the office on Monday and invent something and provide jobs and still work hard.
Yeah.
So how do you duplicate that to the next generation? I don't know. Just expose them to it and be there alongside them. That would be my goal.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a good goal.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, guys. This was really fun just to hear some of the Scosche story and see how God has called you to lead business in a way that honors him and provides employment. And, really fun. So thanks so much.
Thanks for having us, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having us, buddy. Good to meet you.
It was fun.
BAM School, facilitating a global, self-funding, disciple-making movement through business. Thanks for tuning in to the BAM School podcast. Find show notes, free courses, resources, and more at 4bam.com.